All right, let's bring it back. Remote projection has time built into the matrix. And I would encourage you to install flags, positions, events, things that are relevant and necessary for your practice to stay focused in an aim. I'd encourage you to place these things in time so that way when you retrieve what it is that you were looking for, you can recognize it when it comes. And this brings validity and accuracy to your target matrix. One of the things about time that I would also like for you to think about when you build these is not to have a specific day or a specific time necessarily marked, unless it is something particular, fixed, or determined that has a relationship required by time. But to allow what I call serendipity to play a role in your target matrix. So you don't want to force the answer. You want to allow the answer to be presented to you when the universe, so to speak, has worked out all the little issues and all the influences and all the developments and all the other energies moving. Allow universe to position everything in place, and then when it returns the answer to you, it is your responsibility to be aware and to be open to the answer. And this way you can pinpoint time by thinking of it in a reversed sense, where you are asking permission to be worthy enough to receive the intelligence in which you are looking for. So you have to structure your question very specifically in order to retrieve what it is you want. And then you have patience. You have diligence. And you allow the universe, so to speak, to handle its own business. So when you do receive back what it is that you asked for, there are no attachments to it. There are no karmic ramifications of things that are still held on to it, things that are still attached to it. You get to have it clean and pure because you allowed universe to basically make it pure for you, because that's part of your target matrix. Take all the time you need, kind of like clean the spiritual world. Wash it a little bit, right? This is why this original video in which I posted on January 21st, 2018, 1/2/1, it's important that we gave it the time it needed for gestation, for development, for implementation, because it is about programming. Remote projection does reprogram. This is what causes it to be dangerous, right? Science would call it neurolinguistic programming, hence why this was put in the video. Because what is it that you even do these things for? When is enough enough? What is your fill? When are you going to be satisfied? This part of it brings that into understanding, places you into a role, into your personality, your individuality, the most important, your identity. And not the identity in which somebody has given you, but the identity in which is represented by your fingerprint. The identity in which is represented by your eyes. But most importantly, the identity of your blood. So remote projection is remote intention. It is a goal-oriented, future-oriented aspect to magic, where you blend the ethereal or magical with the practical, because you actually have to put these things into practice. You have to use these as tools and instruments. These are not about philosophies and ideas. These techniques are designed for action. So I hope you enjoy this video. Perhaps it was important to just, repost this 9 months later to show how gestation works in remote projection. Others call this technology teleportation. And I think they do that because this technique is like portals, doorways, and gateways. And the practice builds the doorway itself, and then it supplies a bridge to connect past, present, and future. So I think this is why the sciences refer to this as teleportation as well. Anyway, hello, it's Damien Questiny. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. Thought we'd talk about neurolinguistic programming and also a bonus at the end. Speculation and fantasy for fun. So neurolinguistic programming is something that we face all the time when we go out into the world. Because every major corporation has spent a lot of money figuring out how to get their products in front of you and for you to actually commit to letting go of your wealth for their product. Because, consume, buy, come here, look what I have for you, this shiny new object that's made out of plastic and covered with this really pretty pink paint. And then you go, oh yeah, I want to. So that's what neurolinguistic programming's biggest financiers have been. So the majority of its influence comes from propaganda, which is fine. But you can actually use neurolinguistic programming to your advantage, especially if you understand how it works. And when you go online, you'll find out that it's made by some guys in the 70s or something. And it's a form of communication. It's not a form of communication from my perspective. This is why I want to talk about it. It's actually a form of listening. And listening is critical. I'll give you a perfect example about listening. You're driving a bus with 43 passengers. You have to make 12 stops. The first 6 stops, you drop off 4 people, but pick up 2. On the last stop, you drop off 6 people, but pick up 8. What's the name of the driver of the bus? So raise your hand if you know the answer. If you don't know the answer, then you are the exact person that a profiteer would be looking for, right? Because they would extract your wealth from you as a large corporation, for example, using this propaganda of neurolinguistic programming. However, if you did know the answer, then technically you wouldn't be the person they're looking for, because you wouldn't need any of their products or services. So that's the foundational principle, if you will. But I don't want to go through all the stages. I want to talk about it more in a holistic way and ask you, how do you see it in your life? Do you see it when you go to the movies, where there seems to be a common theme presented? A way to shape your new reality? Do you see that when you go to the movies? Like, I don't know, maybe in my life I could say yes. When I was a kid, I remember Star Trek, and I used to love Star Trek. Captain Kirk was pretty radical for me. I like that guy. And he had this thing called a communicator that he would say, "Beam me up, Scotty," right? And now we have the cell phone. So I would say that neurolinguistic programming as a child, of having that ability to see that, to conceptualize that, to build a model from that, because I was shown or given the seed to plant and what it could become. So I actually had a way to build that model through my energy, because I've been given this tool of imagination, right? And piecing together this part of my imagination. So now our society created that, made that happen because we wanted that so badly. So badly. So it begs the question. We wanted that pretty badly, but we also wanted the teleportation. Where's my tinfoil hat? Oh, there it is. Okay, we're good. Here we go. Let's get into the fun part, the bonus. How neurolinguistic programming can actually benefit you. How you can use this technique to allow you to accept different realities that you want these streams of information and consciousness to come to you. You want to be allowed to be open to these and to participate, to not necessarily be a repeater or a transmitter, but to actually be a receiver of that information. So you're receiving its true essence and its true core through this neurolinguistic programming process. You can strip out all of the symbolism and the minutia and get to the core. That's what I'm talking about through this process. So the tinfoil hat is on. Do we have teleportation? Because I know when I was younger, that was something that I really wanted. Is that a reality? Is that a technology that we possess? And how do we use that technology? If we did, what would it look like? Would it be Tesla tech? 369, for those out there who know what that means. Curious what you guys think of that. Rodent coils? Anybody? Electromagnetic universe? Possibility? Yes or no? Or is it really just one big fusion reaction? One big explosion? What do you think? So let's plant a seed and see where it goes. Let's create together a neurolinguistic programming apparatus. It can be filled, and let's see if it germinates. Let's practice and put out an idea. There's, in my estimation, let's start with a premise here. Let's start with could be a false premise, so that's why you don't have to participate if you don't want to, but let's start here at this moment with this. Let's say that we're on the verge of many, many secrets that are going to be revealed. Many memos are going to come out. Let's call it that. But more importantly, there's going to be pictures. And the pictures is what's going to be scary, right? Again, this is just a fantasy here. We're just creating a story. Could it be possible that maybe the scariest part, maybe overtly being what these people may be doing in these images that appear to be very, very authentic, very real, and so real, in fact, that under every scrutiny, they are as if, I don't know, maybe you can say somebody was standing there in the room with you at the time? But yet, the people who are in the picture, they all know who was in the room at the time, right? But they go like, wait a minute, how did that picture How did that picture get there? Neurolinguistic programming. How did the picture get there? That will scare anybody. Was there a ghost in the room who took the picture? Because all the parties were right there, but how did that get there? So, curious what you guys think about that. Is teleportation real? And on top of that, is Wonder Woman's special ability with the invisible ship? Is invisibility real too? What are we dealing with here? What do you think? Some of these images perhaps may be so real, it's almost as if somebody was standing in the room. Use neurolinguistic programming to your advantage. Use it to create a conduit for you to change your focus, to give you a path, a goal, a mission. Put purpose behind your life. And you will find joy. You will find happiness. And why? Is because you will be filling your cup with experience. And you will be sharing with the world your perspective because it will be valuable. Because it will be unique. Well, everybody, appreciate you taking the time to listen if you made it this far. Love to hear from you. Y'all have a great day. Cheers.